Okay, hey ladies, this is Judy and Kate, and we're here on day 2 of our Rock Your Visibility 5-day challenge, and we're back. We had a little bit of internet issues just a minute ago, but we're back.
So we're starting from the top.
Absolutely, from the top. So we're really excited. Thank you for coming back and joining us, and we're really here today in this day to really kind of take a deep dive into what is your visibility story. You know, what are those core blocks and core beliefs that you have that really keep you from being the visible self that you want to be. And you know, this affects every single area of our lives. Not only our business, but how we show up in our lives. And so we really want to, you know, support you in diving into what is it that has held you back. And so that's going to be our conversation today. And really what we're doing here is our intention is to create a really safe place for you to come and to, you know, have these conversations about what it is about visibility for you that perhaps has held you back, that is scary, that you desire, and that we're really creating a safe container for those kind of conversations to happen. Yeah.
And what we've really found is that the reason that we're starting with this foundation of the inner work is because, you know, we start a business and we are really excited about it. We're trying to get ourselves out there. We have a mission and we feel like we're here to make an impact in the world. And there's so much that we stand for, that we believe in, and we desire so much for this business to work. And as we're growing it and as we are endeavoring to grow it, oftentimes it feels like we are fighting against ourselves and we're not even really sure what it is. It's like, am I lazy? Why am I procrastinating? Why am I hearing crickets? We don't really understand what's going on. And so what we've found is that if we start with the inner work, then the tug of war that we are feeling actually disappears. And so what we can then do from there is the drama becomes like a lot less. You know, like pushing that boulder up Mount Everest doesn't feel like such this like Herculean task anymore.
Absolutely. When we begin to understand like where it came from, and why it came, you know, why we are experiencing that, then we can actually like have some understanding around it and have some compassion for ourselves.
Yeah.
So we're going to dive more deeply into that for sure.
So just to give you a little quick overview of what you can expect from this video today. So we're going to dive right into content first. And so we're going to share for probably, my guess would be about 20 minutes or so. We have some really juicy stuff for you today. And so hold your questions. We definitely want to take your questions. Yesterday we were having some trouble picking up the questions, so I have my computer here just in case they need to come through on the computer. So hold your questions for the end, because we really want this to be in service to you and we really want to serve you where you're at.
But you're welcome to actually, any comments along the way would be awesome. Just so we kind of know kind of what you're thinking and what we can really be supporting you with.
And we also wanted to share with you, we have a challenge along with this challenge for each one of you. And what we are offering, we have a free giveaway that we're going to be announcing actually on Saturday. And it's for a 90-minute Skype intensive with both of us, totally free. And so the way that we're going to do a drawing for it, and so the way that you qualify for this this giveaway is to really show that you're engaged. We really want this challenge to be in support to you and really in support to your visibility. So we want you to show up and be visible. In the comments of these videos, we really want you to see that you are engaging. And so for each day that you are showing up and being really visible in the Facebook group and in the comments here, we will put one entry per day for you towards this this free giveaway. And additionally, we also, you know, we found that one of the big things that's helped us to transform our visibility, and still does, is to surround ourselves with a community of women who are doing the same thing. And so this is such an amazing community of women, and so many women really committed to their success. And so we want to continue to bring more women into this circle. So if there's a friend that you can think of who Facebook group and tag them, and we will give you an additional entry for each person that you bring into the Facebook group. So, with that,
Well,
I think that we pretty much handled all the
logistics.
the housekeeping.
Exactly. So let's just share a little bit with you about what we did yesterday, what we went through. Here
All
we go.
right,
Okay.
we are back.
So-
And actually, ladies, I would, if you are on the live stream in our Facebook group, can you go ahead and comment? I'm not seeing any comments come through, and I have a feeling we're having the same issue we did yesterday. So
perhaps
if you are
even a like,
Yeah.
or a heart would be awesome.
we got a couple of likes here so far.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We got a couple of people. Okay, so don't know what.
We'll see if it comes through here. We're gonna keep moving.
You
forward.
know, and Mercury's evidently is not in retrograde anymore, so we can't blame it on Mercury, right? So yesterday we really dove into, we talked about this unconscious addiction that many of us have to, you know, of what other people think about us.
Oh, yay. Finally got on. At first, it wouldn't play. Hi, Linda.
Oh,
nice
hi,
to have you
Linda.
here.
Great.
Thank you for commenting. We got
Okay.
you.
We got
Awesome.
you. Yes, we got you. So this unconscious desire and addiction that we have of the opinion of others determining how we feel about ourselves. And, you know, most of us feel good and safe and happy when other people are reflecting that back to us. You know, and that's pretty normal, correct? You know, that's not really odd. But, you know, and we feel happy when other people say good things about us. And we feel happy when people say that they love our programs.
Or we feel safe or secure when we have some of that external validation. And, you know, some of it is okay. We have someone saying they're having troubles logging onto the Facebook Live. Well, hopefully the recording will be good.
Hopefully, yes, yeah.
But so, you know, feeling safe or secure if someone approves of us, and to a certain degree, some of that's okay. But when it becomes, when it gets to the point where we're not taking the steps that we want to take or that we know to take, that's where it becomes a problem.
Well, and honestly, what it becomes a problem is that when we feel dependent on how other people feel about us in order for us to feel good about ourselves. And that's called codependency. You know, what other people think about us determines how we think about ourselves. And so that really determines, you know, like how we value ourselves and what our rules are. And many of us about you know, who we are dependent on what other people think about us. So we invited you yesterday to kind of explore that for yourself. Like, what are your rules around your own value and self-worth? You know, what were those rules that you kind of came up with?
And if you have them right here, I know that some people are having trouble logging into
Yeah.
the live stream, but if you came up with them, we'd love to hear them. I think, Linda, you're here. I think, Donna Lee, I think you just were able to get in. So I'd love.
Yes. Oh,
Okay,
here we go.
we are back.
Yes.
You are frozen. Hopefully we're back, Linda.
You are frozen. So ultimately, you know, what we really notice is that much of this lives outside of ourselves. And that is a very tricky place to be in, especially when you are stepping forth as a woman entrepreneur. Because if we're dependent on other people's opinion of us, let me just say, you know, whenever we step out and speak out and be truly ourselves, there are people that aren't going to like it. They're going to people that for years have seen you in a certain way, and they're not going to like it. They're going to be other people that don't even know you and going to have a judgment around you, or who does she think she is, or, you know, she's too big for her britches, or whatever people's opinions are. So just knowing that the place to come from, and this is what we're working towards, is actually having that place of self-worth that comes from inside of ourselves, not dependent on the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we really thought would be in service of you today is to really help to support you to discover what your own story about visibility is. And generally what we find is that a lot of the blocks that we have and the limiting beliefs that we have around our own visibility starts in childhood. And so when we look actually at like the development of the brain, as children, we don't have a discerning faculty about like rejecting what other people's belief systems are, that when we're told certain things, we really just absorb them and adopt them, and they become part of our truth. We're like these little sponges for other people's belief systems. And oftentimes it's even just how we interpret a situation. And as children, you know, we are so incredibly smart, and we are so incredibly in tune with what's going on, much more than probably most adults give us credit for. And so we really find a way to have ourselves be taken care of. We find a way to
be safe.
To be safe and to really get our needs met.
Yes. Yeah.
So, for example, you know, we were talking about this earlier, and one of my dear friends, for years, the joke between our circle of friends is that she is like the slowest eater that you could possibly ever meet. And, you know, by the time you've like cleaned your plate, she's like on like her third or fourth bite.
Yeah.
So we were joking about this with her for years. And then she finally shared that growing up in her family, there was a lot of chaos going on in her family, and there were a lot of family members. And the reason that she eats so slowly is that she finally realized at one point that the only time that everything was totally silent in the house was when people were eating. Everybody would sit down at their plate and they would start eating, and it was quiet. And so she could have her voice be heard. And so again, we find these ways of having our needs be met. And so, you know, we also receive messages. We were talking about this as well. We receive messages from our environment, and we interpret them in a certain way, and we really internalize them.
Absolutely. I mean, that's, you know, many of us, you know, we received messages from our parents, from our teachers, from our religious institutions, really from our siblings, you know, anywhere in our environment about who we are and what they believe us to be. So but let's say we behave in a certain way, and what's reflected back is that there's an adult in our lives who does not like how we're behaving. And so then that's what we are, that's being reflected back to us, that somehow we're not okay, that our behavior is not okay. And of course, you know, in any kind of a family, this is certainly you know, normal learned behavior. But when we start to take it on that we are not okay, that there's somebody else outside of us that is criticizing us, judging us, dismissing us, ignoring us, all kinds of, you know, if we're being made fun of by other kids, if we're, you know, if let's say we're the youngest child in the family, and you know we're the baby, or you know we're the 2-year-old, and there's this big family, and they're sitting around the dinner table, and the little 2-year-old or 3-year-old is saying, you know, trying to speak up and be part of it, and they're squashed or they're laughed at, they're made fun of. You know, you're going to learn pretty early on that it's not a safe place to step up and to speak out, that it's just not safe, or that, you know, you become like the rebel in the family, and you know, you don't like what somebody has to say, and so you
don't like your parents' rules. You think they're bullshit.
They are, and they are bullshit. Let's just say all parents' rules are bullshit, right? And so, you know, and you get criticized, and then you get sent to your room, and you're shunned, and you're shamed.
Yeah.
So all of these things we take on so personally, and it's no wonder that we have some challenges speaking out and stepping into the limelight when we've also actually been trained that that's actually not okay. You know, some people have been emotionally abused or physically abused or even sexually abused, and it literally is not safe, that you literally have learned that it's not safe to even be seen in your home.
Well, and it wasn't. I mean, we've worked with clients all across the gamut. Those who were teased by their friends on the playground, whose older siblings beat them up, whose parents shamed them for speaking up, or for women who they grew up with an abusive parent or an abusive family member. And literally, it was safest to hide in the closet or hide under the bed and just to retreat into themselves and shut down.
Yeah.
So again, it's like we find ways to stay safe, and as children, and then we take the patterns and the belief systems that we've learned and we bring them into adulthood. And we try and have these really amazing, expansive lives because we are big thinkers, we're big dreamers. You are visionary women.
Probably always were. You've
Yeah.
always felt different than the crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who we know you to be. You wouldn't be here today if you wouldn't be stepping out and doing some, be a trailblazer in this world, because if it were easy, everybody would be doing it.
That's for damn sure.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so again, it's like you want to step up and shine your light, not in an egotistical way, but in a way that's really authentic to you and really true for where you're at. And yet, if you don't feel safe or you don't feel secure, you are afraid that something is going to be taken away from you. And it might be a completely, to the rational mind, it sounds like an irrational fear, but if that's what the belief system is saying, or what the underlying issue is, then it's going to be a constant fight back and forth. Yeah. So comment below if this is making sense to you. Are you picking up what we're throwing down? We'd love to hear some yeses if this feels.
I see that we're a little bit in and out.
Yeah.
In and out.
Hopefully.
I don't know what the deal is with it.
I think the recording should be okay. So if
Yeah.
it's not perfect, you can always go get that on, and make sure to sign up too, so that you get all the email updates and you get access to our private membership site. But what we thought would be really helpful to share is a little bit of, okay, great, Linda. So is a little bit of like what for us has allowed us to have some more compassion for ourselves when we're like sitting there, like in hiding behind the computer, not getting out. Like we have the phone calls to make, and we have like there are things that we know that we need to do, and it's like, oh, the laundry sounds like that would be so much more fun, or like the sock drawer has never been so organized, or like the refrigerator has never been so clean.
It's so clean, yeah.
So
we get that. We get it.
So what we wanted to share with you today is that there are 4 levels of spirituality. And so just kind of put yourself in, as we're sharing about this, really think of like, how did you grow up? In what kind of environment did you grow up? So stage 1 of spirituality, level 1 of spirituality, is chaos. So for many of you, you've probably grown up in a household that had a lot of chaos. Many of our clients, they've grown up with an alcoholic parent, or just with some just general dysfunction in the family. I mean,
Well,
let's say
which
we
is-
pretty much all have we all came from a dysfunctional
Absolutely.
family, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot of chaos going on. There's like the rules are really like, watery, and there's just like it just feels like a tornado and a hurricane and like a Tasmanian devil. Like there's just chaos going on all the time. So that's level 1 of spirituality. Level 2 of spirituality is rigidity and rule. So it's very black or white. And so that's much more like a religious institution. Like we have
Or dogma.
it can be dogmatic.
yeah.
Prison is like that. AA is like that. So it's like, don't think, don't drink, and go to a meeting kind of thing.
Right.
Like,
which is, for one,
for someone who's
for
come
some,
out of chaos,
oh my God, that's
that is a
life-saving.
lifesaver, literally.
Yeah. It's like trying to control the, like when there's so much chaos, and this is what we find so often from, children of adult children of alcoholics, that there was so much chaos in the home. And it doesn't have to even just be around alcoholism.
It's really any dysfunction.
Any kind of addiction, any kind of dysfunction. And again, we all come from dysfunctional families.
To a degree,
and
on a spectrum.
On a spectrum, and I say that lovingly,
Yeah.
and I say that in a sense that, and this is not this is in no way for any of us to blame or point our fingers at, and I think that's part of the healing process.
It actually, when we can understand this, it gives us more compassion.
Totally, because if you come from a family where there's a lot of chaos, then what you might do to actually like recover in a sense from that chaos or try and make sense out of the world is to become very controlling and have some black and white rules.
Yeah.
And so, and that can serve, and especially for a child, that's a very appropriate response for a child that's trying to make some sense out of the rules. But I mean, out of the chaos.
Yeah.
And
create some rules.
And create some rules and some definition in their lives. And then what happens though is it no longer serves them as they become an adult, and then it's this black and white place.
Right.
And that is not. It does ultimately serve over the long haul.
Yeah, I mean, like one of our clients from a while back when we were working with men, he grew up with an alcoholic father and a lot of chaos going on, a lot of denial from, on his mom's side, and just a lot of chaos. And he put himself in a Jesuit order right in out of high school.
And it wasn't a conscious decision of his. It wasn't like, okay, I'm leaving this chaotic family. I'm going to go put myself in this structure here.
No, but it was very supportive to him. Oh, it looks like we're frozen again. Hopefully we're back. But so we have the level of chaos, which is level 1, and again, moving into level 2 of the black or white can be a lifesaver. And then there reaches a point in our evolution where we hit level 3, which is really the shades of gray, and we can kind of dovetail back and forth. And it's not doing something because we should or because there's a rule around it, but it's more of like a I want to versus I have to.
It's a choice. Yeah.
And then level 4, of course, is always enlightenment. So, good luck with that one, right? For all of us, it's like, all right, maybe someday.
Yeah.
But so if that gives you some insight into maybe the family that you grew up in, or, we also know some individuals who maybe they grew up there, or let's say their parent grew up in a really chaotic state, and then the parent, put themselves into that level 2, very black or white, and raised the child in that way. And again, for the parent, that was a lifesaver. For the child, it felt constrictive. So what we often do is like, okay, so when, let's say that there are these rules or these ways that we need to behave that have been sort of oppressed on us from the outside, what we do is we either tend to, without a lot of awareness and without a lot of healing in ourselves, we will kind of swing to one side or the other of the spectrum. So we will either go into total defiance. So that's where we become like the rebel, and we're authority, and we're like pushing against all these things. Or we go into compliance, which is like being concerned about how people are going to see us, or not wanting to break free of the mold, all of that.
Which is the codependent piece. And we get ourselves stuck in codependence. So it's either like you swing into one side as a, codependent.
Yeah.
And then the other side as a rebel. And what we're really talking about
is getting into alliance with ourselves.